Here at the museum, in this cabinet, the top shelf, there's a lot of Sinclair stuff. The second shelf, there's some different sort of media. There's a punch card and there's 3 discs at the front there. There's a couple of Atari Micros. There's an Aquarius and a Sword, which is a very hard to get micro. And a Viz, I think that's a clone by Dick Smith. Over here there's some Pong or Odyssey stuff. I got the Donkey Kong Jr. here, tabletop for people to play. There's a stack of Retro Gamers and other magazines. I've got a lot of magazines, but they're in shelves. I'll show you them later. Here's the other cabinet. I'll just run through there. There's an Atom in the bottom. The Pac-Man board game here actually has a joystick and a clock mechanism, so it plays a little bit like the arcade. As close as you could get on a board game, I guess. So this is where people can play Pong. I've just whacked a Pong clone and I've put some wire in for the controllers. This is a luggable PC I got for my birthday this year. Thank you, Sharon. What is it called? Who cares? It's pretty awesome. There's some Atari stuff along here. I displayed some of my gear for Mother's Day at the Heritage Weekend in Ballarat this year. So I had these printed out. The guys from the council printed them, so it's good. There's a CPM computer here. And this is a Frieden calculator. Someone grab this out of the tip for me. There's all components, there's no ICs in it. I think it was made in the early 60s. This is a teletype. I think it was like a dumb terminal. Yep. So over here's PC games in their cases. And PS2, and I've got PS1 just lying on the floor there at the moment. Now, I'll try to turn these on, but the problem is they make so much noise with the fans, you won't be able to hear me. This is Stunt Cycle by Atari. I think it was made about 76. So you just scroll down the screen and all you control is the speed of the bike. And every time you make a jump safely, another bike is added. So I've seen kids come in and clock this. Aiden and Jake nearly clock it every time they come in. The whole screen fills full of buses, and then the game has to reset because there's no more room for another bus. There's Metal Slug 3 in a Neo Geo 5 slot. Now I'll just turn them off. That's just got multi-games. The emulation on the Street Fighter on this one's pretty good, so I use it for that. This is Xerion. Now Xerion isn't as popular as Galaga, obviously, but I think it's underrated. I think it's not as fast as Galaga. It's more colourful, and I think the enemy is a lot more varied. And it's got this sort of forced perspective, which is kind of cool. Jake that comes in, I've actually got a blackboard up here with top scores. There's scores for the museum and just world records and things. I saw Jake get a world record on this, but I'm not an official judge and I didn't record it, so we can't really claim it. But that was pretty cool. This is a multi-card cocktail. So this is Grand Prix Star 2 by Jellico. I got this about 5 years ago. I think it was in a pub in Ballarat for a long time called the Uni Bar that was on Sturt Street. So it's not a bad racer at all. Australia is probably the worst track. There's only 4. That's pretty good when you're learning, and these 2 are pretty cool. You can sort of you got 4 turbos every race, and yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm happy to have that, and the kiddies love it. Now we move on to this. I don't know. It looks horrible, okay, but it works. So I've put up. Le Mans was a game for the Commodore 64 that come a lot in a cartridge form in a lot of Commodore 64 packs in Australia. So it's just that game, and I've modified it to go into this cabinet. So I'll turn that off, but you've either played it or you haven't. It's pretty cool. So that gives you an idea. So the game originally in this cabinet was a Monaco GP, which is the same style of gameplay. And it stopped working, and I tried to fix it, and I've really made a Frankenstein there, but there's a game in there that you can play that's fun. Now, where are we going to go? I've got this big Seagull light here. That's not turned on at the moment. I think that was in a place called Brash's. That was sort of a franchise like JB Hi-Fi when I was growing up. That was in a Bridge Mel, apparently, this sign. The Bridge Mel store. I've just got a bit of bits and bobs in the cupboards around this, and I've got my SNES in there. There's some industrial PCs there. I'll just run the camera over them. I won't talk about them. These are massive hard drives. Look at the size of them. This one's from the Ford plant in Geelong. That's an interesting computer there, Simmons. I've got a Commodore there. When groups come in, I use this to illustrate, and this big computer to show them how big companies worked in the 80s. Along here, I've just bung up anything I could find, bookcases, and I made a joystick wall. So that's all joysticks there. I've got enough joysticks to do this bit, but I haven't got around to it yet. This computer here I rented out to a production people that were making the movie Predestination, I think a couple of years ago. So I was hoping it was going to be used in a scene, but unfortunately it hasn't. I've seen the movie and it wasn't used in the final cut. But I've got that little ticket on the lead there that it was used in that movie to make the movie. It's an interesting calculator. Now, I had a group that programmed Linux in a couple of years ago, and all this weirdness in the chords is what's happening there. That is electronic logic, similar to what goes on inside an IC. So they used all these chords to program this to count. And there's a close-up of an IC under a electron microscope. Okay, there's another big tape drive. And I've got my toilet in there with my Arnie poster. there's Donkey Kong War Game. Oh, this is a card reader for a digital computer. Okay. So this is another sort of Frankenstein. There was a arcade cabinet with Dragon Buster in it that I put a TV in there and a PS2 and just glued a couple of these arcade controllers on. It works alright. Here's a bit of a spiel on billiards and how it relates to Bagatelle. And I'm running virtual pin MAME on this just to illustrate the pinball game. On the the GameCube, I've got Donkey Kong Country, what's that called? Donkey Kong Drummy Boy. I don't know the name of it, I've forgotten. But the kids get into that and have fun. It's not something that people often had at home, so I try to get gear in here that is not available at home. This is a House of the Typing of the Dead cabinet that I made up. So Typing of the Dead was ported over from the Dreamcast to the PC. And I was pretty happy with that cabinet. The only problem is it's an early LED or LCD screen, and you've got to get the angle right. You've got to be fairly tall to see the screen. This is just a printout, and if you use a water-based polyurethane, you can seal it and get that finish. So I've used that on the pinball machine too, see? So this is the Mega Drive with a Mega CD on it. I found the Terminator. There's a lot of crap games on the Mega CD, but look, there's a couple of really good shoot 'em ups, and two really cool games are the Terminator, which isn't just a port over from the Mega Drive. It was made from the ground up for the Mega CD. It's got an awesome soundtrack. And Popful Mail. That is really cool if you can get your hands on that. If you like Wonder Boy 2 on the Master System, get that if you can. There's a little Mario Kart. I don't know the story. I think it was manufactured in Australia. I suppose you could maybe get a 2-year-old on there, but I don't know about a 3-year-old. And I've never actually had it running, but apparently the accelerator sticks on it. So that's my Atari with Pitfall running at the moment. Super Sprint. I really wanted Super Sprint when I decided I want to do this museum. And kids just still flock to it. It's pretty cool. This is Danger Zone.
Thank you.
So the best way to describe it is like a first-person perspective missile command, I suppose. You have to defend your base, and the screen will run with you. I'd never seen this game. I saw it on eBay in Bendigo, and actually Mum picked it up for me, so I paid for it, and she was going to an auction, and I got her to pick that up. I'd always struggled to get people to play PS1. I whacked on Crash Bandicoot, and people seem to love that and play it. Yeah, there's the Vectrex, the Dreamcast. When I get groups in, I'll tend to put Virtual Tennis on. People love that. That's another GameCube game. I mean, a GameCube console. Sometimes I put I don't know how to pronounce it, Ikaruga, the shoot 'em up, on there too. I've got Super Monkey Ball at the moment. This is a PS2 I mainly use for gun games. If you can pick up Vampire Knight, that's pretty pretty cool if you're into gun games. If you like House of the Dead, I think Vampire Knight was made by Namco and Sega, so you can feel House of the Dead coming through there, and obviously Namco have providence in that. So I put Guitar Hero usually on this PS2. There's where I put my Wii at the moment. I've got the Cyberbike game. I'm having trouble with Cyberbike. From the net, it's a common problem that the bike on the screen will just go even if you're not pedaling. But I wanted that Cyberbike because it's something that a lot of homes won't have, and I've got to try in the museum to find things that people don't have at home. I've lost the battery on my other camera, so I'm just going to go ahead with this one. So that's my heater, the wood-fired heater. So I've just got 2 fans for the summer, one over there as well. I am thinking about putting some vents in the ceiling or the roof. Over here I've got Max. So I think that's the first portable. This is the Duo dock, so the laptop will punch out of there. And I think when it's charging it can add either RAM or processing power to the PC. This is the Director's Edition Mac. It's got a TV tuner card in it for analog TV. Apple 2GS, 2Es, and the Macintosh is along the bottom there. I think that one's 512K. I've just got a bit of a history of computing down here. And I've just printed out Bill Gates' open letter to hobbyists. Just grabbed that from the internet and put it up there. This is where I put the Ouya, the recent Kickstarter console. I've got the N64 on the right and PC running an official Atari emulator package. It's got, and I've built this trackball thingy, Frankenstein, to play Missile Command. Left fire, centre fire, right fire. Okay, so this is a Kistler ballistics analyzer. So the guy I bought it off said it was used to analyse explosions. This is a cool little screen you can whack on the PS1. That's hard to get, and I've got that at Cash Converters. I set up a few handhelds here, and just this year I've been buying PSP stuff that I pay about $4 a game. You can obviously see I've just thrown out cartridges and stuff. I have had a couple of things go missing. Conker's Bad Fur Day for N64, but I've had people give more than I've had people steal, so a lot more. So it works out alright. And I'd just like to give people a chance to play things, alright? So these are the PCs I got for LAN. I hope you can see the screen. Now there's Road Rash on the bottom here. So that plays like the 3DO version of Road Rash, but you can play it in LAN. So there was a spiel in Retro Gamer about Road Rash, but they didn't really mention that. And it's just cool being able to play Road Rash in LAN. Blood 2. That's a cool LAN game that's probably not very well known, that'll run on anything. And No One Lives Forever. I think that's by the same guys who made Blood. That's a really cool LAN game. Yeah, try to check that out. I hope you can see the other games there I've got in my multiplayer. In just single player games, you should check out a game called Montezuma's Return. that's worth checking out. It's like a first person perspective Pitfall, if you can imagine that. Instead of seeing, people think of Mario as the archetypal 3D platformer, but if you look at that Montezuma's Return, it's a real different take on platformers. So along the back here, I've just got a few laptops, luggables, and mechanical calculators. That's probably my earliest mechanical calculator. So earlier versions of that were in wooden boxes. Along here I've got microcomputers. There's a few luggables down there, it's probably a bit dark. This is an interesting Ericsson. It's got a real printer in it. That's pretty cool. So Amstrads along there. Some Commodore stuff there. Okay. So in this cab I've just got some boards. Some interesting books and some calculators. This is a Telex computer. That little yellow symbol here used to be the Telstra symbol. For Australians who know, Telstra is probably Australia's most popular telco for the internet. And the K-Pro, that's pretty cool. I think these two are CPMs. I think that's CPM too. I do have I'm a Mac. Right, I'll show you later. I was just going to mention Gary Kildall. I put a little video that the Computer Chronicles put out on Gary. I try to play that when I get a big group in. So these are just PCs and PC clones. Okay. Some more of that sort of stuff, and there's an apricot there. I think that's an Aussie computer with a unique OS, or it might be CPM. No, I think it is CPM. IBM. So I've got some gaming info along the top there. There's some boxes, and that's a little pinky cabinet I've got. Oh, there's some BBC stuff here too, but a lot of that is not working. Nearly there. Some Atari stuff. And I've got sort of handheld gear in here. So I've just had to cut away from the cabinet because the light was just really bad there. So I've pulled out a couple of things that are cool in the cabinet. This is a Nights into Dreams handheld, sealed there, that's awesome. And this is called Electromic Tennis. So this is an electromechanical version of Pong. So when it's turned on, just a couple of little lights shine up either end, and a little ball on a light which is just connected to pulleys and cogs. So the gameplay is all mechanical. So these electromechanical games have sort of been forgotten. There were awesome car games that used light projection in the arcades. I can remember going into arcades as a kid and seeing rows and rows of these electromechanical games. There's shoot 'em ups, car games, you name it, and some of the amazing things they could do just with mechanics were awesome, and this sort of stuff's been forgotten. So look that up on the internet, electromechanical games, in particular arcade games. So back to the video. And this is where the NES is. I've got some more mags there. And there's a couple of tabletops. So Frogger plays pretty well, and Galaxy Invader's not too bad. Alright, that is the end, I think. I haven't missed anything. Goodbye.